Hello, other Thunderhand Pictures people. This is another episode, but this time it's gonna be speaking. Thing. So, Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, Battlefield Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, November 19th, 1863. The Battle of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania was a gruesome engagement which left thousands dead on both sides. The Union forces gained a tremendous victory by warding off invasion from the north, which many believe marked the turning point of the Civil War. A special commission was held apart from the battlefield as a ceremony for those who had been killed in the battle to give them a proper burial. The battle at Gettysburg was one of the great adversities and great moments in our nation's history. The ceremony that dedicated the ceremony on that battlefield became another. Abraham Lincoln was invited to Gettysburg to give some apparent remarks. Following the principal address, dedicated the ceremony given by Edward Everett, a scholar, statesman, and well-known author. So on November 18th, 1863, rode on a special train to Gettysburg. He finished his address that night in Gettysburg. The next day, following the 2-hour speech of Everett, Lincoln presented his address in less than 2 minutes. Mixed reactions were rampant among the public. Some responded with mockery, while others held it in high regard. In his address, Lincoln put the battle and indeed the entire war in context, referring in his first sentence to the document that began this experiment in freedom. The war and the battle were maintaining the longevity of this experiment, he said. Some of Lincoln's greatest addresses referred to terrible battles in their fullest sense. He brought purpose and meaning to the destruction of human life, while at the same time acknowledging the harsh battles for what they were. A free government became reality. Lincoln's emphasis on the contrary and challenge are unmistakable, present in his address, and by stressing the sacrifice and devotion of the soldiers, he probed the nerve of democracy and free government. His outlook on the results of the battle was not that of a great victory, but of an opportunity purchased by human life for the living to continue to keep the experiment of free government alive. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the prostitution that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation shall conceive and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that the nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember that what we say here, but it can never forget that they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they fought, who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great tasks remaining before us, that from these honored dead we have increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God should have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people should not perish from the earth. This has been the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln, read by Joseph Rice. This has been Thunderhead Pictures. You've been caught in the storm.